Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are taking a deep and immersive journey into the history, origin, and lasting legacy of one of the most important and widely collected coins in American numismatics, the Washington quarter dollar, a coin that first entered circulation in 1932 and forever changed the landscape of United States coinage. Because unlike earlier quarters that featured liberty in various artistic forms, this was the first regular issue U.S. coin to portray a real historical figure, President George Washington, marking a powerful shift in how the nation chose to represent its ideals, leadership, and heritage on everyday money. And the story of this coin begins during the Great Depression, a time of economic hardship when the United States was searching for symbols of unity and strength. And originally, the coin was intended to be a one-year commemorative issue honoring the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, but the design was so well received that it permanently replaced the standing Liberty quarter, which had faced striking and durability issues, and the U.S. Mint held a national design competition that attracted some of the most talented sculptors of the era, ultimately selecting John Flanagan's portrait of Washington, a dignified left-facing profile based on a bust by French sculptor Jean-Antoine Houdon, which many historians consider the most accurate likeness of Washington ever created, and this decision alone gave the Washington quarter an artistic and historical credibility that resonated deeply with the public, while the reverse design, featuring a proud heraldic eagle perched with outstretched wings above a bundle of arrows and olive branches, symbolized both strength and peace, reinforcing the ideals Washington himself stood for. And from a technical standpoint, the original Washington quarters were struck in 90% silver and 10% copper, weighing 6.25 grams with a diameter of 24.3 millimeters. Specifications that would remain unchanged for decades, and these early silver issues, minted from 1932 through 1964, are especially important to collectors today because they represent not only intrinsic precious metal value but also a wide range of mint marks, production variations, and condition rarities that can dramatically affect a coin's worth. And during the early years, minting took place at Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with key dates such as the 1932D and 1932S becoming legendary among collectors due to their extremely low mintages, which were the result of limited demand during the Depression era rather than intentional scarcity. And as the series progressed through World War II and into the post-war economic boom, the Washington quarter became a silent witness to American history, circulating through the hands of soldiers, workers, and families, while design modifications were minimal, preserving continuity and familiarity. And this consistency is one reason why the series appeals to both beginner and advanced collectors, because it offers a clear progression through time with manageable complexity. Yet as the 1960s approached, rising silver prices began to threaten the use of precious metals in circulating coinage, leading to one of the most significant transitions in U.S. monetary history, when in 1965 the Mint shifted the Washington quarter from 90% silver to a copper-nickel-clad composition, a change that fundamentally altered the coin's feel, sound, and long-term collecting dynamics. Yet the design itself remained largely unchanged, reinforcing Washington's enduring presence on American currency. And even after the silver era ended, the Washington quarter continued to evolve quietly through minor design tweaks, proof issues, mint set variations, and later special programs, all of which added layers of complexity and opportunity for collectors who take the time to study them. And when you examine a Washington quarter closely, you are not just holding a piece of change, you are holding a compact record of American economic policy, artistic taste, and historical memory, making it one of the most educational and rewarding coins to collect, study, and appreciate. And as we continue deeper into this series, we will uncover how condition, mint marks, errors, and modern variations have transformed some ordinary-looking quarters into highly valuable collectibles, revealing why the Washington quarter dollar remains a cornerstone of U.S. numismatics even today. Continuing the story of the Washington quarter dollar, the years following its introduction saw the coin firmly embed itself into the daily life of Americans, not merely as currency but as a symbol of stability during uncertain times. And as the 1930s moved forward, mintages fluctuated dramatically depending on economic demand, which is why early issues from Denver and San Francisco often exhibit lower survival rates in higher grades, making well-preserved examples especially desirable today. And collectors quickly learn that while many Washington quarters appear common at first glance, true scarcity often reveals itself in condition, strike quality, and subtle die characteristics, particularly for coins produced during periods when the mint focused more on quantity than quality. And throughout the 1940s, as the United States entered World War II, the Washington quarter continued to be struck in silver, circulating heavily as the nation mobilized its economy for the war effort. And these wartime quarters frequently show signs of heavy wear, bag marks, and weak strikes, especially on Washington's hair details and the eagle's breast feathers, which has created a strong premium for sharply struck, well-centered coins from this era. And as the war ended and America entered a period of rapid industrial growth and rising consumer confidence, quarter production increased significantly, resulting in large mintages during the late 1940s and 1950s. Yet even within these high mintage years, collectors seek out exceptional pieces with full detail and original luster, especially those struck at the San Francisco Mint for proof sets, which began regular production again in 1950, introducing a new collecting avenue that emphasized mirror-like fields and frosted devices. And proof Washington quarters from the 1950s and early 1960s are highly admired for their craftsmanship, often showing deeper contrast and sharper detail than their circulating counterparts. And this era also marked a growing public awareness of coin collecting as a hobby, with families saving rolls of silver quarters not just for their metal value but as keepsakes and potential investments. And behind the scenes, the U.S. Mint was already grappling with rising silver prices and the long-term sustainability of precious metal coinage, a concern that would soon reshape American money forever. But before that transformation occurred, the silver Washington quarter reached its artistic and technical peak in the early 1960s, with coins from 1961 through 1964 often displaying excellent strikes and attractive luster, making them popular entry points for new collectors assembling date and mint sets. And when you examine these silver quarters today, their weight, ring, and visual warmth instantly distinguish them from later clad issues, reminding collectors why silver coinage holds such emotional and historical appeal. And beyond standard circulation strikes, the Washington Quarter series also includes a fascinating world of varieties and mint errors that add depth to the series, such as double dies, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, and clipped planchets, each representing a momentary imperfection in the minting process that escaped quality control and entered circulation, turning an ordinary coin into a numismatic curiosity. And while these errors were once dismissed as mistakes, modern collectors prize them for their uniqueness and the glimpse they offer into how coins are actually made. And studying these details trains the eye to notice subtle differences in lettering, spacing, and relief, skills that separate casual hobbyists from serious numismatists. And all of these factors together explain why the Washington Quarter is often recommended as a foundational series for collectors of all levels, because it combines rich history, manageable size, precious metal content, and endless opportunities for discovery. And as we move closer to the mid-1960s, the story of the Washington Quarter becomes inseparable from broader changes in American society, economics, and technology, setting the stage for one of the most important transitions in U.S. coinage history, when silver would disappear from circulating quarters and a new era would begin. Yet even as materials changed, the enduring image of George Washington remained, linking generations through a single, familiar design that continues to circulate, evolve, and inspire collectors around the world. As the Washington Quarter moved into its next major phase, the year 1965 marked a turning point that reshaped not only this coin but the entire U.S. monetary system, because soaring silver prices and growing demand for bullion had made it impractical for the government to continue striking circulating coins in precious metal, leading to the passage of the Coinage Act of 1965, which officially removed silver from quarters and dimes, replacing it with a copper-nickel-clad composition bonded to a pure copper core. And although this change was driven by economics rather than aesthetics, it had a profound psychological impact on the public, many of whom began hoarding pre-1965 silver quarters, creating an immediate divide between what collectors now call Silver-era Washington quarters and Clad-era issues. And interestingly, to discourage hoarding and confusion during the transition, the Mint removed mint marks entirely from coins dated 1965 through 1967, meaning that quarters from these years bear no indication of where they were struck, even though production continued at Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, a decision that has fascinated collectors ever since and created its own niche of study within the series. And during these early clad years, production numbers skyrocketed as the Mint worked tirelessly to meet circulation demand, often prioritizing speed over striking quality, which resulted in many coins with softer details, weaker rims, and reduced overall eye appeal compared to earlier silver issues. And yet, even within this high mintage environment, certain coins stand out today in exceptionally high grades, commanding strong premiums because they represent the best survivors of an era not known for quality. And as the 1970s unfolded, the Washington Quarter continued to evolve subtly, reflecting changes in minting technology, die preparation, and metal composition, while remaining visually familiar to generations of Americans who used the coin daily without giving much thought to its history. And during this period, the Mint also expanded its production of proof coins, first in San Francisco using clad compositions, and later experimenting with different finishes and packaging that further diversified the collecting landscape. And proof Washington quarters from the clad era, especially those with deep cameo contrast, have become increasingly popular among modern collectors who appreciate their sharp detail and pristine surfaces, and, alongside proofs, the Mint also produced special mint sets and uncirculated collector issues that offer insight into how coin production standards varied between circulation and collector focus strikes, and one of the most intriguing aspects of the clad Washington Quarter era is the rise of dramatic mint errors and varieties, including double dies, wrong planchet strikes, and even rare transitional errors where a quarter was accidentally struck on a silver planchet after the official changeover, coins that today can be worth thousands of dollars due to their rarity and historical significance, and these anomalies serve as tangible reminders that even in a highly controlled industrial process, human oversight and mechanical limitations can create extraordinary results, and as collectors became more sophisticated over time, attention increasingly shifted from simply filling album holes to identifying top population registry coins, full strike details, and unusual varieties, transforming the Washington Quarter from a humble workhorse of commerce into a deeply studied and competitive collecting field. And all of this set the foundation for the next major transformation of the series, when the quarter would be chosen as the centerpiece for large-scale commemorative programs that introduced new designs, new themes, and millions of new collectors to the hobby, while still preserving the iconic image of George Washington that had anchored the series since 1932, demonstrating that even a coin used every day can carry layers of history, innovation, and hidden value for those willing to look closer. As the Washington Quarter entered the closing decades of the 20th century, its role expanded beyond everyday commerce and into the realm of national storytelling, because by the late 1980s and early 1990s, the U.S. Mint was actively searching for ways to renew public interest in circulating coinage, leading to the launch of large-scale commemorative initiatives that would forever change how people viewed the quarter, and this vision came to life in 1999 with the introduction of the 50 State Quarters program, a groundbreaking project that replaced the traditional eagle reverse with rotating state designs while retaining John Flanagan classic portrait of George Washington on the obverse, and almost overnight, the quarter transformed from a familiar pocket coin into a miniature history lesson, inspiring millions of Americans to check their change, start collections, and learn about the geography, culture, and heritage of each state, and this surge in public participation marked one of the most successful numismatic programs in history, with billions of coins struck and widespread media attention that introduced an entirely new generation to coin collecting, and yet within this massive output, true collectibles still emerged, particularly in the form of low mintage issues, high-grade examples, and notable errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, and missing edge layers that slipped into circulation, reminding collectors that rarity can exist even in modern coins, and alongside circulation strikes, the Mint issued proof versions in both clad and 90% silver compositions, catering to collectors who valued superior craftsmanship and precious metal content, and these proof state quarters, especially those with strong cameo contrast and flawless surfaces, have become an important cornerstone of modern U.S. collections. And as the state program concluded in 2008, its success paved the way for the District of Columbia and U.S. territories quarters, which extended the concept to include Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico, Guam, American Samoa, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the Northern Mariana Islands, further broadening the educational and cultural scope of the series while maintaining strong collector engagement. And during this period, the Mint also refined its production techniques, resulting in sharper strikes and more consistent quality, particularly for collector-focused issues, even as circulation coins continued to show the effects of high-speed minting, and for many collectors, this era represents a fascinating balance between mass production and meaningful variety, where the challenge lies not in finding a coin, but in finding the best possible example. And as the program-driven momentum continued, the Washington Quarter was once again selected as the foundation for another ambitious initiative, the America the Beautiful Quarters program, which debuted in 2010 and featured national parks and historic sites from all 50 states and U.S. territories, each design telling a story of natural beauty, exploration, and preservation, and these quarters expanded the artistic range of the series while keeping Washington's portrait as a unifying element, reinforcing the idea that continuity and change can coexist within a single coin series. And for collectors, this period opened up new avenues of specialization, from assembling complete date and mint sets to focusing on silver proofs, error coins, or ultra-high grade business strikes. And as the quarter continued to evolve, its enduring popularity proved that even in an age of digital transactions, a small circulating coin could still capture the imagination, educate the public, and offer real collecting value to those who understand its history and nuances. As the Washington Quarter moved fully into the modern collecting era, attention increasingly shifted toward rarity, condition, and the subtle details that separate ordinary coins from truly valuable ones, and for collectors, understanding what makes a Washington quarter special goes far beyond simply knowing the date, because factors such as strike quality, surface preservation, luster, and originality now play a decisive role in determining desirability and market value, and this is especially true for high-grade coins that survive from years known for poor production standards, where a single-point increase on the grading scale can multiply a coin's value many times over, and professional grading services have become central to this process, providing standardized assessments that help collectors confidently buy, sell, and trade Washington quarters in competitive markets. And registry set collecting has further intensified demand for top population examples, where collectors compete to assemble the finest known sets, often paying substantial premiums for coins graded MS67, MS68, or higher, particularly for clad-era issues that rarely survive in such pristine condition, and within the silver era, certain dates and mint combinations consistently stand out, not because they are unknown, but because truly gem-quality examples are exceptionally scarce. With coins like the 1932 D and 1932 S often serving as the key anchors of complete sets, while later silver issues from the 1940s and early 1950s can become surprisingly elusive in fully struck, mark-free condition, and beyond standard dates. The Washington Quarter Series is rich with varieties and errors that offer collectors the thrill of discovery, including double die obverse that show clear doubling in inscriptions such as Liberty and I in God We Trust, repunched mint marks that reveal the mint's manual processes of the past, and dramatic errors like broad strikes, off-metal strikes, and wrong planchet errors that turn routine coins into numismatic standouts. And some of the most exciting modern finds include transitional errors, where coins were struck on planchets intended for different denominations or compositions, creating rare hybrids that capture a specific moment of change within the mint. And these pieces are highly sought after because they combine rarity with a compelling story, and for many collectors, searching for such varieties in circulation rolls or old collections remains one of the most rewarding aspects of the hobby, because it proves that valuable coins are not always locked away in vaults or auctions, but can still be found with patience, knowledge, and a trained eye. And as market awareness has grown, prices for exceptional Washington quarters have risen steadily, particularly for coins with strong eye appeal, original toning, and verified pedigree. And auction records regularly demonstrate that while common examples remain affordable, the finest known pieces can command five-figure prices or more, underscoring the idea that quality often matters more than quantity in numismatics. And this modern focus on excellence has also encouraged collectors to think more carefully about preservation, storage, and handling, using proper holders, climate control, and minimal contact to ensure that coins remain stable over time. And all of these factors together show that the Washington Quarter is far from a simple or exhausted series, because even after decades of study, it continues to offer new challenges, discoveries, and opportunities for those willing to look beyond face value and explore the deeper layers of history, craftsmanship, and rarity embedded in every coin. As the story of the Washington Quarter reaches its final chapter, it becomes clear that this coin's true legacy lies in its remarkable ability to adapt while remaining instantly recognizable, because from its birth during the Great Depression to its transformation into a platform for nationwide commemorative programs, the quarter has reflected changing economic realities, artistic trends, and public attitudes toward money itself. And for collectors today, the Washington Quarter represents a complete journey through modern American numismatic history, offering entry points for beginners who might start by filling a simple album from circulation, as well as deep challenges for advanced specialists who chase elusive varieties, condition rarities, and top population registry coins. And what makes this series especially compelling is that value is not limited to a single era, since silver issues carry intrinsic metal worth alongside historical appeal, while clad and modern program quarters derive their premiums from scarcity in high grade, striking quality, and demand fueled by large collector bases. And even circulation strikes from recent decades can surprise collectors when found with exceptional luster, sharp details, and clean surfaces, sometimes selling for hundreds or even thousands of dollars when certified at the highest levels, and beyond monetary value. The Washington Quarter has played a powerful educational role, introducing millions of people to history, geography, and national identity through the state quarters, D.C. and territories, and America the Beautiful programs, many of which inspired lifelong interest in coins and collecting. And these programs also expanded artistic expression on circulating coinage, proving that coins could serve as miniature canvases without sacrificing functionality. And as the series continues into the present with updated obverse designs and ongoing reverse themes, collectors are reminded that numismatics is not static, but a living field shaped by technology, culture, and public engagement. And looking back, It is striking how a coin originally intended as a one-year commemorative issue evolved into one of the longest-running and most diverse series in U.S. history, surviving metal changes, economic upheavals, and shifting tastes while remaining a constant presence in American life. And for anyone holding a Washington quarter today, whether pulled from pocket change or carefully stored in a collection, that small disc of metal carries nearly a century of stories, from the ideals embodied by George Washington himself to the hands of millions of people who use the coin in everyday transactions, and this enduring connection between history and daily life is what gives the Washington quarter its lasting appeal, ensuring that it will continue to be studied, collected, and appreciated for generations to come, not just as money, but as a tangible link to America's past and evolving identity. And as you finish exploring this fascinating coin and its many layers of meaning, remember that every quarter has a story waiting to be discovered by those who take the time to look closely, learn deeply, and collect thoughtfully. Thanks for watching.